And there she is. Wow. That's my baby.
If you were with us for episode 1, part 1, you will know that I got a little tipsy while on eBay and I bought my dream car, a Mark II Dodge Charger. Just a few weeks later, I was able to visit Brian and Katie in Missouri, the wonderful people who had put the Charger up for auction and allowed me to store it with them while I arranged shipping. I had decided to film this visit because I knew my life was about to change and I was about to enter into a new and exciting world where I'd meet some amazing people. People like me who wanted to keep American historic cars, hot rods and customs with all their amazing styling and huge engines on the road as modern electric vehicles start to take over. Through these amazing cars, the American dream lives on, but it isn't only in America, as you will see. And that's what Talk American is all about.
That's my baby.
There it is.
So how long did you have it?
We've had it, I got to try to remember. It was about 4 years, I think. I think we drug it home in 2012. And actually, I backed it in this spot. It was running. I backed it in this spot and it's been sitting ever since, never touched it. Had good intentions to, but that kind of took up what little bit of money we had.
I'm really thankful to Brian and Katie because when I bought my dream car, they allowed me to keep it in their garage. And more than that, when I bought the car, it was disassembled. And Brian had to take time off work to reassemble the car so I could ship it as one lump. I'm so thankful he did that for me.
And I hung this in here too, Carl, and this is all the same way. You can see here, I even put like a zip tie, you know, to hold some of this stuff in place so it don't flop around. I found these brackets here that come off the bumper. Don't even know if they go there for sure.
Yeah.
But they lined up with that hole, so I put a bolt in them. And they're not the correct bolts or nothing. I just put it in there so the bumper would be on there.
Yeah.
And nothing's gonna fall off. This is just hanging in here. Both the bolts that went to the bottom of this are broke off in there. I didn't have time to try to extract them. This is just laying on there. I've just had that sitting on there forever just to keep the trash out of it.
Yeah, keep the dirt out.
This is what I told you is cool here. See, that's got the see the original Chrysler Pentastar and Chrysler numbers. Hopefully that radiator will be good enough to where you can just record and use that original radiator. That's a good radiator, 26-inch radiator. The old intake's kind of cool. I don't know if you'll use that intake. Whoever does your motor, I don't know how much you know about them. That's a single plane intake. They're kind of good for real high RPM and not as good low RPM for like street use. It would work on the street. I like them because you don't see them a whole lot. It's an old Edelbrock Torker, so it's kind of a cool little intake manifold. It actually has a pretty nice set of headers.
By the way, after this episode, the audio gets a lot better because I invested in some more equipment. But it turns out Brian loves his Dodges.
We bought this car, we probably had 4 years or so ago. I bought another one just like it that was a 4-speed car that was that I was going to do. I love the old Chrysler 4-speed, the pistol grip. It don't get any better than that. We found this car in Georgia. Basically, we went to Georgia and bought it for the parts. A guy started on it. We brought it home, and this car was so much better than the other car that I bought. We decided to go ahead and do this one instead of the 4-speed car. And it come with this is a factory 383 4-barrel car, console, bucket seats. We don't have the console in it. It's when I got to the end, we were kind of running low on money, and the console was going to cost about another $600 or $700. So the $80 B&M shifter went on the floor, and the console went up on the shelf, so we could get it out and drive it. But it did come with the console, and originally a big block car.
Okay, it's time I confess to the background of my sin. I wouldn't have bought my dream car on eBay if it hadn't been for Richard Rawlings and Aaron Kaufman, and their amazing series Fast and Loud on the Discovery channels. And it turns out Brian had been watching similar British car shows like Wheeler Dealers.
Interior's all new, all the covers, seat foam, carpet. Since you're here, I'm going to call them door cards. Who's the two English guys on TV that have the show? Oh, I know you know them.
Yeah, Ed Shiner and Mike Brewer.
Yeah.
On Wheeler Dealers.
Wheeler Dealers.
Hey, you watch that, do you?
I seen him call them door cards the other day, and I thought about you. I said, I guess that's what they call them.
Dude, I'm watching Gas Monkey and you're watching watching Wheeler Dealers.
It was really cool to see that Brian liked to show off his old cars. Brian's garage was a man cave I was deeply jealous of, not least because of his cool signs and his trophy display. Awesome. Anyway, it took me and Brian a little while to pack all the parts into the car, but I was really pleased I bought some cheap bungee cord and I had his help. And then I pressed Brian into service with my camera.
So as you can see, Brian and Kathleen have helped me with the charger. We've got everything loaded up. The thing that wouldn't fit was this replacement corner panel. So what we had to do, we had to get a little bit creative and bungee cord it to the side of the car. So hopefully the customs will not take offence to that. But it's solid. This is my new baby, and I must admit I'm tickled pink.
Who is Kathleen? Apologies, Katie. I was thinking about Brian getting my good side, or should that be my less bad side? Didn't mean it. It really was the least I could do to take Brian and Katie to a nice lunch, since they've been looking after my car and helped me pack it up and everything. And since I was taken with Brian's orange Dodge Coronet, we took that to the restaurant.
This car don't like corners real good because it's got a locker unit in it.
Oh, it's awesome.
Pretty sweet, isn't it?
Oh, it's more than that.
I'm getting this thing. If you could afford the gas, I'd get in this and drive it to the coast. It's such a good car.
Had a lot of fun with this car.
She's scared of it. I'll show you why.
And then after some great all-American food, Brian showed me what that old Coronet could do.
Now that is cool.
I want to explain that tyres were definitely harmed during the making of this film.
That was awesome.
I'd really taken a shine to Brian when I dialed him up from the UK and we'd spoken on the phone. Now I was falling in love with him.
This thing, when you floor it, when you pull it down into first gear, it makes so much power you can't floor it. Because I'm afraid the tack just over revs. And I don't want to hurt.
You don't want to bust the gut on the rear.
I don't want to hurt the motor or anything. So.
I just want to explain, it isn't only the abundance of chrome and the amazing styling that I like from classic American vehicles of the 50s, 60s and 70s. Typically, these cars have amazingly large V8 engines that put out masses of torque. I witnessed this firsthand in the Big Power Meet show in Sweden in 2016. And here at Santa Pod Raceway at the Mopar Euro Nationals. There'll be more from Sweden and other shows later in the series. Back in Peculiar, we drove on the long driveway to the stunning house. I realised the big garage separate from the house on the left was mirrored with another separate garage on the right. There was an underground garage also on the right side of the house, and of course a double garage at the front of the house. Brian and Katie were definitely piston heads and people after my own heart.
Oh, wow.
It's a 1964 Harley Davidson FLH panhead. Been totally restored. A whole lot of parts on it are actually, the majority of the parts on it are Harley Davidson. You can even see these are like original Harley Davidson hand grips. And a lot of this stuff is old, but it's worth so much money because it's original. These Harley Davidson mirrors are pretty hard to get. A lot of these old bikes, when people restore them, they buy so much aftermarket stuff and put on them, they're not hardly Harleys. You know what I'm saying? Because so many of them got wadded up and tore up. They'll have aftermarket sheet metal, even aftermarket frames, aftermarket engine cases, and you put it all together and somebody advertise, you know, no Harley, and it'll be very few parts on it that are Harley. All the sheet metal, fenders, engine, frame, and everything on this bike is what it was born with from the factory.
And then here we have,
that's Morgan's 77 Corvette. I bought that for a whopping $4,500.
Morgan is Brian and Katie's daughter.
There wasn't a gauge that worked in the dash. Speedometer didn't work. Tach didn't work. Power windows didn't work. It sounded like the T-tops were gonna blow off when you got going down the highway. Carpet was terrible. It was just a mess.
if Batman owned a Corvette, this would be it.
And that was basically that. It was amazing to see my new purchase in the flesh, and it was brilliant to meet Brian and Katie, who have been so fantastic. My car was now all packed up and it was ready to be transported via an enclosed truck from Peculiar, Missouri on its peculiar journey down to Houston, where it would then wait at some kind of depot for a couple of weeks before taking a container ship to Southampton in England. A long journey for the car, and this was the beginning of a long and life-changing journey for me. Back then, I really thought I could afford this car. Now, I'm not so sure. And I want to share all the twists and turns in this journey with you along the way. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, come back to the website, follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. It's bye for now, but next up we meet Big John the Restorer, who is less than impressed when the Charger arrives from America.